Power Project family, how's it going? Now, you guys know that we have had so many individuals come onto this podcast, doctors, therapists, coaches, that have talked about the importance of getting your blood work done. Mark's done it, Andrew's done it, I've done it, and when we got our numbers back, let me tell you that we didn't know what the fuck we were looking at. That's why we partnered with Marek Health, owned by More Plates, More Dates, Derek from More Plates, More Dates. And when you get your blood work done from Marek Health, a patient care coordinator goes over your blood work and gives you an idea of the things you need to get done specifically for you. This is why they are the premium telehealth clinic to go to, because they don't give you cookie cutter plans. They give you plans that are specific to you, your numbers, and your blood work. Andrew, how can people get it?
Yes, you guys got to head over to marekhealth.com. That's MAREK health.com. And if you are manually checking out, you can use promo code PowerProject10 to save 10% off all of your labs. But if you are interested in TRT or HRT or something that you need additional help with, you're going to be speaking to somebody on the phone. And with that, you can still mention promo code PowerProject10 to save 10% off all of their recommended labs. Again, that's at marekhealth.com. Links to them down in the description, as well as the podcast show notes.
We're rolling for sure this time.
Let's go.
So on this show, we've talked a lot about addiction to all different kinds of things. Some people believe that they're heavily addicted to food, and it's just a good idea to examine things that you maybe just have bad habits with, whether you want to call it addiction or not. The questions that you want to ask yourself is like, has this ever impacted your ability to get to like work on time? Has it negatively impact relationships? And today we're going to be talking about an addiction to porn, and we have some comments and stuff that Nsima is going to read from one of the podcasts that we did with Andrew Huberman.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this topic many times. Nsima mentioned his own addiction that he had for about 5 years or so, right?
13 years. Started at 11.
13 years.
Yeah.
And we understand the topic can be funny and awkward and weird at times, but I think we're all pretty aware of how problematic it can be. And for maybe some people, maybe they're not recognizing what an issue it can be. I will say that kind of just, right off the bat, I would say that just because you're addressing or you're looking into addressing a porn addiction doesn't necessarily mean that you can never be without porn. If you have an addiction, that might be the best route for you, just to not watch it at all. But also I think that people think that once they do that they can't masturbate ever again, which isn't necessarily true either. And it means like you can't like fantasize or, so I think, as we pointed out on the show before, and we've had, what was the Dopamine Nation?
Anna
Limpke pointed out there were certain things for her that were triggers that she had to get rid of. I think she mentioned even getting rid of social media, that was a trigger for her. And I think it's really smart to investigate these things, even as something as innocent as looking at somebody else's Instagram that is not your spouse, that is not your significant other, and kind of overanalyzing every picture and video that they have. All these things can be highly problematic.
Yeah, there's so much to cover with this whole topic. It's kind of wild. But guys, if you haven't seen it, there's a video we have on the channel called Dangers of Porn Addiction, or actually, let's see, The Danger of Porn Addiction with Andrew Huberman, and we talked about that a bit there. But there's a lot of issues. Like, one thing that I want to say off the bat, because I got a lot of DMs about this, when guys are asking, well, what's like, there's doctors say that there's nothing wrong with masturbating, or actually masturbation's healthy for you, blah, blah, blah. And number one, yeah, masturbating's fine. There's nothing wrong with masturbation. I think one of the big things is that for some reason, a lot of us are equating pornography with masturbation, like that they're mutually exclusive, and they are not. You can have masturbation without pornography. The main thing that I've been trying to attack, and the main thing that I've been trying to help people get think about a little bit more, is their porn use, because porn isn't normal. We've made it normal as a society because, number one, it's hard for guys to talk about it because it's kind of embarrassing. It's kind of a taboo subject. It's not something it's not something that you talk about with pride. And it's everyone, like when I was in high school, and if it ever come up, every guy watches porn. just normal. It's totally normal. But you got to think about how big of a super stimulus it is and how abnormal it is. You know, before the internet, if somebody wanted to see porn or whatever, you'd have Playboy magazines and maybe you'd have VHS tapes. It wouldn't be as stimulating as the stuff you have now, where you can go to any website, you can type in any category that you want, any type of woman that you want. And if that video gets boring, you can find another video in a few seconds. If that video gets boring, you can find another video in a few seconds. And the thing is your brain doesn't necessarily know that you're not having sex with any of these 8 tabs that you have open. it thinks that these are your actual mates. And one of the big problems is the novelty aspect of it. I think it was called the Coolidge effect. Okay, the Coolidge effect is it was a study done on rats where they had rats having like sex in a cage or whatever, and they would bring out a new rat, and every time the rat got a new rat, boom, the rat would be able to go again and again and again with a new one. But if a rat was forced to stay in there with one, right, over time it would get used to it. It would take a little bit more time, the refractory period, meaning the amount of time it takes to have sex again. So like with porn, you have the stimulus where you're getting new girl after new girl after new girl. And over time, that becomes very problematic because you're not actually doing this in real life. You're doing this in front of a screen, and you become used to that. So there was a few comments, like there was one guy.
You get desensitized to a lot of stuff.
You get desensitized. Like there was one guy who made a comment, and I gotten a lot of DMs like this. One guy was like, for me, I noticed that I was no longer physically excited as much by my wife. Stopped all porn. Now, if I see her getting naked for the shower, I'm excited like when we first got together. What a difference. And then there was another guy, I think there was another guy that kind of echoed the same sentiment. But I think that's one thing. Like I got DMs from guys that were mentioning something like that. And even women that were mentioning that they were having problems in their relationship because of their husband's porn use. It's difficult.
There's some stuff in certain cultures and certain religions where you're not even allowed to see the woman's like actual hair on their head. There's certain, you know, and there's other things like you can't show anything like above your ankle, you know. And in some of these cultures and some of these things, you know, they're the women are, I guess you'd say, it's like suppressed or whatever. But anyway, the point is that when you cover stuff up more, when there's like an unveiling of it, it's like a beautiful car. You know, you have a car like under the, you know, you put a beautiful car under the under like a tarp. You know, when that's revealed at some point, it's a lot more exciting because there was a lot going on in the imagination that you never did actually see until it was time to actually see it. And there's appropriate times for it, and there's times that probably are less appropriate. There's also probably a difference, I would say, between nudity and pornography, although there's like, you know, it's a close line, right? But, you know, me looking through some nudie magazines back in the day and seeing some boobs and some of this and some of that is quite a bit different than like seeing anal, you know, and the girl's got 2 fingers in one spot and getting it from the back and while sucking on somebody else's whatever. There's a lot going on in a scenario like that, right? Yeah. It's much different than like, oh, like I'm just curious about women and the female body and like, holy shit, this is amazing, this is new, this is exciting, right? There's definitely got to be some sort of difference in your brain of seeing those two different things.
Funny story, bro. When I was, goddamn, I was a little thief. When I was like 14, I think, 14 or 15, there was a Barnes and Nobles by my house, and they had little Playboys in a section, right? So what I'd do is I'd go through the front. And there was a back door, right? So I'd go through the front, I'd take a Playboy, make sure no one was looking, I'd go into the bathroom, rip off the plastic, open the magazine, take off the little thing that would put off the door alarm, put that shit in my bag, and I'd go.
Oh, shit.
I jacked so many Playboys.
It was that easy?
Yeah, you just got to go to the bathroom with it. But Andrew Huberman had a bar. He said a picture is worth 1,000 words or something, and a video is worth 1,000 pictures. Kind of showing, hopefully I didn't butcher it. You guys can go to the episode and see it, but hopefully I didn't butcher that. But he was more so talking about how videos, because number one, you see everything and it's so accessible, and you can get whatever you want, right? And we're, as men, we're super visually stimulated. It's, again, that's why it can lead to such an addiction and such a need. And here's another comment. We can go down this rabbit hole. I think
just to clarify, I think he said a picture is worth 1,000 words and a video is worth 1,000,000 words or something like that.
A video is worth 1,000,000 pictures.
1,000,000 pictures. There we go.
Yeah. There we go. But
a lot of math going on in that.
A lot of math. This is another comment, which I think, because I think a lot of guys can relate to this, and this even happened to me when I was trying to, because for me, I told you guys, I was watching porn from 11 to 24. When I was 16, 17, I kind of understood how it was affecting me. I got on the NoFap forums and all that, and I was like, damn, it is messing with how I look at women. It is messing with a bunch of things. So it just took me a long time to quit because I had to build better habits. I had to get rid of triggers. But this guy mentioned something. He said, I'll just say that when I was a young man, watching adult entertainment had a serious impact on my sexual performance and relationships with my girlfriend. I'd have trouble getting an erection, keeping an erection, or sometimes I'd even have trouble finishing. And I was only 23 years old at the time. After realizing that I was hurting myself in my relationship with my significant other, I did a 2-week detox, no adult entertainment and no fapping. Doing that fixed those problems immediately. My relationship with my girl was better, the sex was way better, and best of all, I ended up loving and respecting my girlfriend even more. I can't stress enough how horrible and how destructive adult content can be for men's mental and emotional health, regardless of their age. That shit happened to me when I was in my relationship with my first girl that I had for 4 years. There was a period of time where I was like, the fuck, what's wrong with my dick? But the problem I was having, it's called porn-induced erectile dysfunction. Because you build the habit loop of having the cue of whether sometimes you're bored or sometimes you're lonely. So you watch some porn, you watch a few different videos. That's the way you get yourself off. And now when you're going to go have sex with your girl or something, you don't find that you're as aroused. A few reasons, but one of those reasons being because you see this hyper stimulus of different women in porn, and then you try to come and have some vanilla sex with your girl, and it's not as stimulating. So you imagine I was young and healthy. I wasn't, but as a young, healthy dude, my dick's not getting hard. What the? I realized shit. This is because of porn. It's a real thing. If you go on the forums and type in porn-induced erectile dysfunction, thousands of stories of dudes that are yeah, I experienced this when I was 20-something. I quit. I was able to get off, and boom, everything is so much better.
Yeah, and to try to figure out what the answer is, it's not really clear on what the answer is for each individual person. But what I think is a good idea is just to examine and just think about how often do you watch it? How into it are you? How many different things did you have to get through to get to the point you're at now? Have you gone through hundreds and thousands of videos of porn to find out that you like this specific type of porn and that a lot of the names of the porn stars and shit like that? I mean, you might be in a little bit, over your head, and there might be, something to just think about and consider on how you can work your way out of it.
Yeah, it's really fucking crazy. And I think there's an interesting thing, one question that a lot of guys have is exactly if I'm not watching porn, then how am I supposed to deal with stress? If I'm sexually frustrated, right? But again, number one, if you've been I was, if you were so used to using porn as when you were horny, just watch a quick video, get yourself off, go do the other shit you got to do because you can't focus, right? If that is the way that you are used to de-stressing or being able to focus on other things, you need to give yourself time to learn how to use your imagination. Because if the easiest way for you to get off is by watching porn, you're going to find it impossible to use your imagination or even to use pictures, right, to do that. Because it's not as stimulating. Again, think about this. there is no other time in history where like we were able to see so many images of naked women, etc., than now. Even before the age of the internet, where there's magazines and VHS tapes, still doesn't compare to what we have now. Because now you go to any website, you can get literally anything you want, thousands of videos, as many types of, like, it's too much for us to handle without us affecting us negatively. So there's nothing wrong with masturbation, but you need to get yourself to a point where you're able to get yourself off of porn. We can talk about how you can do that. And then if you do get horny, like, real talk, I think one of the reasons why I was able to quit successfully is because I had so many physical habits that tired me out that honestly, by the end of the day, even if I was horny, like, and I was trying to fight against watching porn, I've done so much that I don't even want to.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you have so much energy to do things, and you have, if you find yourself, because I'll be real here, I found myself in a place where, if I would have certain triggers. So if I was like kind of bored and I was alone on my computer, or it was late at night and I was, I couldn't sleep, because I would be like, I can't sleep. Let me just bust out a video. There would be certain cues like, oh, you're bored. You're lonely, you can't sleep, pull up a quick video. I built these habit loops that I had to figure out a way to figure out my triggers and figure out other routines so I could actually quit. But if you put yourself in the same situations that you always found yourself watching porn, you're going to continue doing that. If you don't figure out what those triggers are for you, if you don't figure out what those routines and those loops are, you're going to keep doing the same thing, and it's going to be fucking difficult to quit.
Another option would be to, like, if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing. Maybe watch some porn with your partner and explain to them some of the different stuff that you like, that you're into. Like, hey, I really enjoy this. I like this a lot. And maybe it just opens up conversation where you can both figure out a way to get comfortable with some of the same things. I don't think that porn is like necessarily bad. I actually think that there's probably a lot of good, might sound funny, but there's probably a lot of like education that comes from porn, and porn has kind of set trends for all kinds of different things, even like with people's pubic hair and stuff like that. I mean, without porn, we probably wouldn't have all the shaving that we have going on nowadays.
Big old bushes everywhere.
Y'all don't like a good bush?
As long as it's not out of control.
A throwback.
Yeah. No.
I'm down with some hair. It's all good.
Yeah. Hey, whatever's going on,
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like this is a place for some healthy disagreement. So I know I have a bias because, number one, I started when I was super young, and I saw how it affected me. And just because it affected me negatively doesn't mean it affects everybody negatively. So I can understand that. But even so, I'll say I think this. We were talking before the episode. Because of the time that high-speed internet started, and a lot of guys ended up, like me, I got on at 11. A lot of guys end up getting in at 12, 13, 14, 15, where you are building in certain deep-rooted habits, and your brain is super plastic. Like, number one, you shouldn't be able to see people having sex in your teenage years. Like, when you're like 15, 16, it's like, it's such a stimulus that's like, it's hard for you not to want to watch that a lot, especially because you're a teenager, you're fucking horny all the time. Like, porn is like, oh, it's candy, right? You can't control the amount of candy you eat at those ages. And because you get all this free candy all the time at your fingertips, you can't necessarily see how it could be negatively affecting you. And now you set in these habits that push into your adulthood. So, number one, as a teenager, all of your other homies are like, this is normal, right? Again, this is a different type of porn. This is high-speed internet porn. All your homies are like, this is normal. You're used to watching it every day, maybe just jacking off just once a day to some different videos or whatever. You don't think it's a big deal. But now as an adult, right, you didn't have that self-control in your youth. It's just something that's normal for you. That can be an extremely rough thing, especially now. Like, let's say that you finally managed to get yourself into a successful relationship, but you've had the habit of watching so much porn because you did it since you were a kid. As much as it could be somewhat beneficial to share that experience with your partner, it's still something that you're probably overusing because, again, it's not like Playboy. It's not like just a magazine. It's not like a VHS tape where it's like one video. It's a candy store that has all of the candy that you could ever want. And now you need to try to get yourself to back off from that. And it causes so many
It might be a
different
gateway type of thing to,
Yeah. But here's the different thing. I think this is the different of the viewpoint between myself and yourself. I was part of the generation that was the testers of high-speed internet porn. You know, I got the internet in fucking 2006, 2007, right? You got high-speed stuff later. Like when you're like, but you even mentioned like you got VHS tapes when you're like 18. But when did you get high-speed internet porn?
Yeah, it wasn't until probably around the time that you got it.
Exactly.
But I was much older.
You were much older, right? And at that time, that probably doesn't affect your outlook on it as much as it does for individuals in the millennial generation, individuals in Gen Z. We're kind of being brought up with that.
Right.
And that's very different from, you know, seeing magazines and VHS tapes. And you mentioned something interesting. If you had a VHS tape, you couldn't just watch it anywhere. We have phones, right? You couldn't just watch it anywhere. You had to be like,
yeah, we only have one VCR player.
right? You had to be careful with that. But now we can see it whenever, as much as we want, in any type of situation, if we're not feeling good about ourselves, if we're not feeling confident. And the thing is like you now have these habit loops where you're not feeling confident or you're feeling bored or whatever. You set those in. Now, when it comes to the seeking, because number one, like, okay, not everyone has to be in a relationship or whatever, right? But to have the confidence to go out and try to find a girl that maybe you're interested in or have the confidence to do that, a lot of men lack that confidence because they have an easy out because of porn. Like they're like, it's not saying that the only reason you seek a partner is just for sex, but sex is awesome.
Right.
So you're doing that, right? But if you're getting this easy out with pornography where you can see any woman you want, and not just any woman, like these women are extremely attractive. You know what I mean? Like porn in a sense is also kind of morphed the way men view attractiveness of women, because you find your kink, the things you're into, whether it's big ass or big old titties. And now you can find that to the highest level with someone with big old fake lips who's in amazing shape. And you're watching that all the time and masturbating to that all the time.
All that stuff comes from porn. Like
right?
the fake tits and the fake lips and the fake butts.
And now you go out and you're like, I'm going to go look for a woman. And let's say that you can't find somebody that looks like that, but you find a nice girl, but she doesn't look like the girls that you've been beating your meat to for years.
Like she's got a big ass, but she doesn't have big tits. Forget it.
Right? Right? Like, exactly. It puts these.
Meanwhile, the dude just looks like a fucking turd.
I mean, let's be real. Like, as an individual, you probably have a lot of things you could work on too, but your attraction is being formed by these unrealistic videos that you're watching on a daily basis. You got to figure out, how is that morphing my ideas? How is that morphing my motivations? How is that changing the way I even look at women? And I noticed that was changing the way I was looking at women. I was like, ooh, this is a beautiful person right in front of me, but she ain't, fuck, what's going on here? Right? Again, I think there's a big difference when one starts young on that versus if you were like 20 or 21 and you got your hands on that. It's easier to kind of not be morphed by it.
What's going to happen when the metaverse hits too? And VR.
Fuck.
I mean, you know, we're talking about a different version of it now, and we're talking about like the kind of evolution of, you know, magazines to videos to high-speed internet, now to this leap of virtual reality. I mean, if it feels like, so if your brain is having a hard time recognizing whether it's true or not, whether it really happened, when we get this in like a virtual world, we saw how shaky we were walking across the turf, thinking that we're on a plank because we had the VR headgear on. What is that stimulus going to be like, and how unrecognizable will that be? That'll, I mean, I can actually envision it right now that there'll be like breakups over that. Like you did what with who? Like, yeah, but it's a virtual.
Did you see the Black Mirror episode with Falcon was Anthony Mackie? You didn't see that?
Oh, dude, that got so weird. So weird. But yeah.
That shit was going on in there? Something like that?
Yeah, well, so it's really fucked up. It's just
Should we ruin? Go ahead.
No, fuck it, dude.
Watch it anyway.
People need to watch it because I'll just whatever. So two buddies, they play video games all the time.
Buddies, men.
Two men. Sorry, thank you.
Yeah.
They start playing this fighting game. The new system comes out. You put like a thing in your ear, and then you're virtually there. So this dude's main character is this big jack dude. This other dude's main character, I think, is a chick. Yeah. The friend is a chick. Yeah. And then they start fighting, and the next thing you know, like they like hug each other and they start kissing. And he's like, "Wait, what the fuck, dude? Like you're a dude, you're in this thing." Meanwhile, what's his name? Falcon? I forgot his name.
Anthony Mackie.
Papa Doc. He is married. His buddy's single. Then they see each other after, and it's like all awkward and shit. But then they keep wanting to go back and see each other's like avatar in this fighting game.
Pretty much fuck each other's avatars because
they go to town on each other. Meanwhile, this dude's wife is like, "What the fuck?" So like they start getting separated, and I won't spoil the end, but like it's like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? Like this got so weird. But yeah, what you're saying, Mark, is absolutely true because like what you're saying, just with tabs, our brain can't decipher like, is this real or is this not real?
Yeah.
So with VR, like we know it looks like a big cartoon, but our brain's like, nah, dude, don't jump off that ledge because you're gonna fucking die.
It feels like literally is uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you know you're not there.
When it gets to that level, I mean, you're right. It's gonna be super weird. You're like, dude, you've been in VR all day. What the fuck are you doing? It's like, oh, you've been with that chick again?
I'm empty, bro.
Yeah, right, dude.
Too many money shots in one day.
But the thing is, we already have that. Like, we already have VR porn. Yeah. Like, people can put on headsets, and you know how like people can watch movies with VR. People can go to Pornhub and have their headset on and be fucking just watching that shit.
So when that is
it's gonna be a different show when I have those goggles on all this. Mark, yo,
hang on 1 second. You just bang the desk. Like, all right, what's up, guys?
Just walking around with tissues all the time.
Like Mark, you always have a cold. Like, yep. Anyway.
But that's the thing. Like, that's going to be what we're fighting against, because I think, like, guys in the comments, chime in and like, let me know your thoughts on this. Because again, some guys were like, oh, it's not a big deal, etc. But I think we're already seeing what high-speed stuff has done to the millennial generation, has done to men in the millennial generation who are now fighting themselves and trying to get themselves out of that, trying to get themselves out of having to watch so much of that or feeling like they need to. There's going to be an even more potentially pervasive aspect when it does come to VR, because now, like, you're in there, right? And if y'all have watched Ready Player One, did you see Ready Player?
I have, yeah.
When we get them bodysuits,
yeah,
it's gonna be.
We're there, dude. It's very it is very Ready Player One already right now. It's just the first versions of it suck, and then and as far as what you're saying about like your generation versus Mark's, like I'm like literally in the between you guys.
Yeah,
and I have friends that did have the fast internet access first. And it's like, God damn, like you got a lot of porn. Like, this is awesome. It's like
LimeWire, baby.
Dude, it was even I forgot the other IRC or some shit like that. It's just like a crazy torrent one.
Yeah.
But like I didn't have internet access till like towards the end of high school. But then like fast internet, I was like already out of college my couple semesters I spent there.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's not a problem. Like it's not an issue at all. But when I did have access to it was just like, okay, yeah, let's do this. But then it was because I gained access after I was already sexually active. And I think that is very important because I'm like, this is awesome, but not as awesome as the real thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to pursue that more than this. You know, there was some incentive there because I had experienced it. And what you're saying makes a lot of sense. Like if I didn't experience the real thing before, an alarm going off? There is. I wouldn't have been as so like pumped to try to go after chicks in real life.
No, incentive's a huge part of it. And what happens after you masturbate? You're like, you're pretty chill, you know? You're pretty like
Take a little nappy poo.
you're pretty like calm, and it's just like being hungry. I mean, it's not something that is meant to necessarily be acted on all the time right away. Although it may feel like an emergency at times, you'll be able to live through it. And maybe there's some other habit you can put in there and say, I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to go on a walk, or I'm going to go lift. And maybe if the urge is still there, maybe you fulfill the thing that you need or whatever. But I think that just knowing that it's not something that you have to get to all the time immediately, I think is important.
Absolutely. You know, one thing to think about, because there's a comment, I don't know if Andrew's able to find it or not, but the comment about
social media.
Yeah.
Yeah. From, well, I don't want to say who, I guess. We'll just keep that. Where'd it go? I lost. Nope,
I made
there
the
it is.
comment public, but okay.
Yeah, I know, whatever. He says, I'd love it if they talked more about the gateways to porn, like Instagram and TikTok. On those platforms, depending on who you follow or the algorithm, you are fed hot chick after hot chick until that builds up to which opens up the thought process to the next step being porn. Yeah, and that's so he just said that. I don't think that's touched on enough for teenagers on Instagram. TikTok is porn, which I 100% agree with. Because yeah, same with my personal feed. I had to clean it up because every time I'd get on there, it was just like, oh shit. And then, you know, like I've heard Mark talk about it. Like if you're paying attention to a chick on Instagram's butt, you know, more than you're spending time with your wife, whatever, however you had put it. It's like, okay, you know, he's totally right. Like, okay, like muted a bunch of people. But then I'll log on to the podcast account to post something, and then somebody will come up and I'm like, oh shit, like I forgot that this was like I don't see it on there anymore. So like I literally forgot that, like, oh fuck, that's like runs rampant there. And yeah, dude, it you know, starts to get the blood flowing in the wrong areas when you're trying to get some work done. And it's like, fuck. Okay, cool.
I think those things can definitely be gateways. I think a big difference with social media is there is like some censorship to it. So, you know, it's only going to be so like seductive, I guess. But again, I think it's about time. You know, it's like the time that you spend doing something. Like, is it interrupting? Like, let's not try to make everything out to be a problem, and let's not look for problems where there's not really a major problem area. However, I think that we can all agree that social media is a problem. We can all agree that pornography is a problem, and it's not necessarily a huge problem for everybody, but it's something for everyone to have on their radar. You know, the human body has a bunch of different sensors in it that if I'm to start to bleed, if I got cut, my body will recognize that, and it will cause clotting of blood, and the blood flow will eventually, hopefully, slow down depending on how bad the cut is. We need detection in our brain for this technology because we're not wired with it. We didn't originally come into this earth with a propensity to be able to figure out how to get off of social media. We didn't have a propensity to figure out how to get away from things that are so enticing, like certain foods and certain. So you have to develop a skill set that, number one, you always have to be in recognition of these things, make sure you're not falling in too deep. And number two is you need a coping mechanism for when these things are at your fingertips, when these things are kind of, you know, in your face 24/7. You need to be able to say, like, I'm going to go do this instead, or I'm going to go switch to this other thing when you get into those moments. And then maybe even also recognizing another important factor is recognizing what are things that are triggers or gateways into you continuing this bad habit or really acting on the bad habit.
The things you pay attention to is where your focus is going to be. Like for me, one of the big things in terms of being able to actually quit successfully was like paying attention to where my attention was going. And when I was on social media, when I was on Instagram, like when I'd see certain things on my feed, sometimes I would go down a rabbit hole. Oh, ooh, nice. Ooh, nice. Ooh, nice. Pornhub.com. Like that would be the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? So I I literally did.
Yeah,
one
you
of the
weren't
same-
getting exactly what you wanted, and so you went right straight to the source after a while.
Exactly. Went right straight to the source after a while. And that's why, like, I made it such a mission to literally, like, whenever I would see any of that on my Discover page on Instagram or on my feed on Instagram, I would just put not like, if you go to like the three dots, whatever, and you click not interested enough, Instagram will stop showing that to you. I don't get any of that shit anymore. It's rare. And when I do, I just click not interested. And my Instagram is filled with fitness, entrepreneurship, self-development shit. Like, that's where my feed is. But that's also, oddly enough, where my focus is in life too. Same thing with TikTok. And TikTok's even wilder with it because now it's even shorter. And man, the type of shit on TikTok, like the ass and titties on TikTok, bro, like that is and I feel like it's even crazier because now you got young teens on that and they're not paying attention to what they're paying attention to.
Right.
They're just like, I like ass. They're just going down, right? But that will and is a gateway for a lot of people. And you need to pay attention to what are my constant inputs. Is this where my focus is? Because if that's where your focus is, that's going to continue to be one of the reasons why, if you do think that porn is an issue for you, that's going to be one of the issues why you find it so hard to quit. And you should pay attention to it.
Pet Project family, this holiday season, listen, I want you to give yourself or your friend or your partner the gift that keeps on giving night after night. I'm talking about that 8 Sleep Mattress, baby. The 8 Sleep
okay, my bad.
Mattress.
Sorry.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. What do you think I was talking about, Andrew?
I don't know. Well, it's actually more exciting that it is 8 Sleep now.
Right? Exactly. The 8 Sleep Mattress is such an amazing mattress because you can cool your bed down to 68, actually 50-something degrees, and it goes up to 110 degrees. And research does show that when you sleep in lower temperatures, you actually fall asleep faster and you'll have deeper sleep. Andrew, how's your experience been, and can you tell the people how to get it?
Honestly, dude, it's one of the things I look forward to the most out of my entire day. And everybody, if you guys want to get your hands on this technology, go to 8sleep.com. That's EIGHT sleep.com/power project for the absolute best sale this Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Again, that's 8sleep.com/power project. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes.
Yeah, man, I don't know what I would do, if I had access to stuff at an early age. I actually think that, like, maybe I didn't even have a learning disability. I just think that all the blood was in my dick all the time. I was walking around with a boner all the time. I think that, it would have been a huge distraction to have all the different stuff that we have access to now. And even something as simple as being able to talk to a girl in a different way via, like, a text or something would have been really helpful for me because I was super shy. I wasn't, that's probably where my mind should have went to. My mind should have went to, hey man, you should figure out what to do with this boner that you have 24/7 and, have some balls and go talk to a female. But that was the last thing on my list because I was like, there's no way I'm not going to fucking talk to anybody.
That's so funny. That just, when you said that reminded me because, like, yeah, all we had to, so, like, I remember just hanging out with a buddy of mine. We were always just, walking everywhere because we didn't have a car, didn't have a job, and obviously didn't have no chicks. But, like, that's literally the one pursuit every single day was just like, dude, where's some chicks at? And then it's like if they ever did show up or whatever, we have no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was like always the number one thing. And we had no way to, like, access any of it the way we do today.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really funny. Just a trip down memory lane, walking to the mall, hoping that there might be a chick there.
That, like, you're not going to talk to.
That I'm not going to talk to, exactly. Yeah.
That's the best part.
Yeah, because I'm going to not talk to her and do things that I have no idea what to do with or how to do them.
No, but seriously, guys, like, if you find it that, like, let's say that you do find it hard to talk to women or whatever, one of the things to do is, like, 'cause there are a lot of these fucking YouTube channels that are like, oh, how to have a game, blah, blah, blah. I think more so, we talked about this a little bit in the episode about modern women, and guys were angry in the comments. All we literally said is just work on yourself. Work on yourself. And by working on yourself, don't just mean, like, build habits to get yourself in better shape. Read more to learn more, so you can develop yourself. Read things and learn things about getting better at your job, business, whatever. Develop yourself more, and it will become easier. You will gain more confidence to be able to talk to women confidently. But if you're not doing that, right, and you're not really spending time on improving yourself, because literally everything in all of my feeds are improving myself, right? That is the thing that you like. If you focus on that, it's going to become so much easier to have so much more confidence when approaching women, because you're confident in yourself when it comes to your fitness, when it comes to your mind, when it comes to the things that you do, right? But a lot of guys do say like they don't feel as confident because they're spending a lot of their time, or a majority of their time, kind of focusing on some fake virtual woman. You know what I mean? So it's, again, quitting that and building better habits, because you can't just, it's not just easy to quit. You have, like, I was trying to quit for 6 years, you know, like really, like I'd stop for maybe 30 days and I'd relapse and it'd happen again. I'd be like, fuck. And I'd stop again for like, maybe I'd go on a 90-day streak, and then, but because I didn't have strong habits and set that was deterring me away from that, when I'd be again bored or tired or, you know, just lonely or whatever, I'd turn to that, right? So it's like you need to develop yourself more so you can get out of that and maybe find someone who's interested in you and you're interested in them.
Yeah, if you're developed, then you'll be attractive. You know, you'll be attractive to somebody. The odds of you being able to get a girl will increase if you know how to play music, if you know a second language, if you are a material expert at anything, really. I mean, look at the amount of pussy that that people in, like, you know, bands get, you know, musicians and stuff, right? I mean, it's like, it's ridiculous. So, and those are people that honed in a skill. Those are people that worked on themselves, and then they're able to have that talent, and it shows some sort of resilience. It shows some sort of ability to stick to something, to make some sort of commitment. And I think those are things that are usually pretty attractive to people. One thing I think is really important to understand is that you can't make someone like you.
Oh, no.
You know, so I think that is probably that's probably an easy place for people to go. Easy way for someone to think when they're thinking about you know, having like a girlfriend or a boyfriend. They're thinking like, I'm going to make this person laugh, or I'm going to take this person to a nice dinner, or I'm going to show this person a really good time. And those are all things that you can do, but they're not going to really enjoy the time unless they really enjoy you. They have to just like you kind of naturally. Mm-hmm. And there is sometimes like it takes a little while to get to like know somebody, so it might not be like right off the bat how super obvious something is, but I would say the two major things I think are important are, you can't make somebody like you, and you probably shouldn't mess around with dating somebody unless you're pretty serious about them. Like, just don't even, like, because once you get locked into like the dating thing, then you're in there for a while, and I think that a lot of times ends up holding on for too long. Mm-hmm. And so continuing to tell somebody that you're not a couple, I think is a good idea, because that other person will eventually say, well, that's not what I'm looking for. And then, you know, like that you're not necessarily looking for a commitment. But I think a lot of times the reason why I'm bringing this up is people are kind of forcing themselves into situations that they really don't like. And then they're perpetually fantasizing about it. And this is not just men. I know that on the show today, we're talking about our own perviness, but there's fantasies going on both sides. There's actually an old comic that I remember seeing, and it's got a man and woman in bed, and like they both kind of have their hands like kind of on their head, like they're kind of stressed. And there's a thought bubble over both of them, and it says, "What's the matter? You couldn't think of anybody else either?" And those kind of things happen when you're not in the correct spot, you know. So this is it's hugely important to your future that you don't try to make somebody like you. Don't force that shit, and take your time. Take your time with getting into some sort of relationship.
Yeah. And this is the whole dating thing is interesting too, because I've been single this whole year, right? And I literally have told myself I'm just not going to be in a relationship for a while, because I spent 4 years in one, right? So the thing is like, as a guy, I mean, some guys are looking for a relationship, which is good, but you know, I'm very open with whoever I'm with or talking to that right now I'm not getting into a relationship. Just not going to. I'm just gonna staying single for a while, and it's necessary to be open about that. Don't let, because I think there was a time that I kind of let myself fall into a relationship. Right, that was my fault. I let that happen, but you got to be sure. You know, you got to be fairly sure before you get into one of those or, you know, get into a monogamous relationship. You got to be very certain about that. And that's a whole nother topic in and of itself. But yeah, take your time. Okay. Like, because there's billions of men on this planet. There's billions of women on this planet. I'm not saying you shouldn't commit to somebody or whatever, because everybody has their different ideas on commitment, especially now, the whole red pill community thing. But don't have a scarcity mindset about that. That person that you really like is not the only person out there. There are many others.
Any females message you about possibly being addicted to porn? Because I know you don't hear it at all, but I'm just curious.
There are a few women that because like for some resources, if you guys are interested in learning more about like good ways to quit and how it could affect you, there's a website called yourbrainonporn.com. And it was by this guy, Gary something. He just actually recently passed away, but he had a TED Talk about it too. And then there's the website nofap.com, which also has a lot of resources. But I did get a few DMs from some women, and it was few. Some DMs from women were talking about their significant other and how they're trying to help them, or how their significant other getting off of porn has helped their relationship. But there were a few women that did talk about like how they had struggles with quitting. It's not, you don't see that as much. Like even the women that I've talked to in person, because I've talked to quite a few women about this topic, just curious about like their potential uses, etc. And women just, in general, a lot of them tend not to have as much of a problem with like just not using porn.
They can kind of take it or leave it. Most of the women that I know, they don't really care that much about it. Like they might like to watch it here and there, but they just don't care. It's not something that's on their mind all the time. And
it's not like they don't, like, women love sex too. Like that's not it. They're just not it seems that it doesn't visually draw them in as much as it does for men. And that can even, honestly, that can stem all the way to the way sex is in porn is very, it's made for men. Like it's literally made for the way that, like all the positions, the way women look. A few women have mentioned this to me before. They're like, yeah, porn isn't that attractive because it's just like, the sex doesn't seem that great, right? Because it's made in a way that we're like, ooh, yeah, this is nice. But a lot of women don't view it in the same
not a
exact
lot of
way.
Different types of dudes either in porn. There's just like, there's kind of, they all sort of are very similar. It seems like they all seem a little grungy. You know what I mean?
With all very less than average size penises, right?
Oh,
right,
man.
Guys, they're smaller.
Yeah,
right?
those
are small.
Some tiny dicks.
Yeah.
Special effects, I think.
Were we having this conversation? I think this is
Most likely.
Okay, this is a funny thing that I think we were talking about one day. Y'all ever find it weird that like when I was watching porn, if the it's gonna be mad weird, but you know, if the dick was like kind of like if the dick was kind of small, I'd be like, hey, what? I need a bigger dick. Like,
Nobody's enjoying this right now.
It's never quite right?
I talked about this before in the gym, like with a bunch of the guys, and I was like, hey, I just want to point out to everybody that this is a very homosexual tendency, but you're definitely double clicking on the bigger dick.
Yeah.
Don't even fucking lie about it. You know you're clicking on the bigger dick.
Why is that?
I don't know. You need to want to see a bigger weapon being utilized. I mean, I don't want to see Rambo come out there with a little pea shooter gun. You know? I want to see, or Arnold. You know, I want to see him fucking mowing down the forest with a giant.
Oh fuck!
Holy
yeah,
shit.
like it's like, yeah, man. I mean, let's not even get into like, you know, Yeah, porn dicks are massive, man. But you know why porn dicks are massive? Because porn women are actually pretty small. Did you know that? Man, I did some rabbit hole digging when I was younger. I was like, why does this dick look so? Wait, she's 5 foot? That's why she needs 2 hands.
It's tiny. Got it.
He doesn't actually have a 9-inch dick. Probably more like 7.5.
Hey, that guy's dick's only 3 inches bigger than mine.
Yeah.
Not 4.
Fuck. I'm over here getting all down on myself. It's only a foot longer. Oh, cool.
Not that big of a deal.
Not unless you're Lexington Steel.
Oh, man. Unbelievable.
They knew who I'm talking about.
There's some talented people on porn.
Man,
for sure.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild.
I think Mark, you had kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, but has there been any, I guess maybe it being like a red flag or something, or has anybody said this has been part of the issue with porn, period, but like watching it with your partner? Like, I think there was a comment, I lost it, where somebody was saying like that was the only way that they could actually be with their partner was like if they watched it together. I don't know if like somebody said like if you're gonna do it, maybe I don't you know what I mean?
No,
like,
I just think that like porn is like a good way to
I get what you're saying,
kind of see things played out and to maybe a woman's like super nervous to mention that like she would really like a vibrator or something, like, but most of the time, I guess within reason, if a girl mentioned anything that pleasured them, I think most dudes would be like, yep, I'm in.
Yep.
You want that done? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you want 3 extra guys? All right, let's hold up.
Slow down there.
Let's hold up on that one, but everything else we can work on.
Yeah. Well, like, what's it called? Like a Kama Sutra book, right? Like everyone's kind of like, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, the positions and all that shit.
Yeah. But like porn, it's, I don't know, it seems different. And that's more like where I get Mark's side of things, saying like, well, shit, hey, if you're a dude that is like, damn, that's really what I'm into. Like, hey, wife, like, check out what this chick's doing. Like, can we try that? And she says yes, and fuck,
it's on.
That porn sucks compared to what you're getting now.
Uh-huh.
I think that could be beneficial.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that. I have seen some, like, there again, y'all can check out the no fat porns through this, but there were a few guys who, and there you that can be done in a healthy way, but there are a few individuals who needed that to be able to get turned on enough to be with their partner. So that was actually something that they needed to do so that they could then be aroused enough to be able to have successful sex with their partner. That's where the rabbit hole gets dangerous. It can be used as an educational tool, but again, you got to pay attention to, am I still aroused by the person I'm with? I mean, and obviously everyone needs to take care of themselves. You as a man need to take care of your physical well-being so that you're attracted to your partner. And ideally your partner is taking care of themselves so they're physically attracted to you. But it's then again, the pervasive aspect of it is like when you're seeing all of these just ridiculously attractive individuals in these videos, and chances are your partner doesn't match up to what a porn star looks like. But that's the person you might be having sex with for a very long time. Can you maintain that? And does porn give you a better ability to maintain your attraction to your partner, or does that pull your attraction away? Because I would assume, my assumption would be that for many young men, porn actually may pull their attraction away from the person that they're with. And again, this is within the context of a monogamous relationship, right? Because within that context, you're supposed to want, or like you have made the decision to do this with this person, right? So does that help you or does that hurt you overall? And many men have talked about straying away from porn and getting themselves away from needing that has increased their attraction for their partner.
I would also say at the same token that male or female, it is your job to continually be attractive to the person that you're with.
Yeah.
You got to put in an effort because, like, I know some guys that go like weeks and weeks without anything. And some cases it's even worse. And they joke about it. Like, I'll hear people joke about it. I'm like, that's just not funny. Like, that's
I mean,
really,
weeks without sex, right?
Yeah. And sometimes maybe just 2-3 times a year and stuff like that. Like, people are sleeping in different beds and all kinds. And I know, there's a lot of challenges with being together with somebody, but at the same time, it's like there's certain things that need to be done for both people to be satisfied. And I don't think it's necessary. I think a lot of times these wants are automatically put into a category of like you're being selfish. But if you're not getting what you need and you're not getting what you want, I mean, originally when you got married, you probably most likely were having sex quite a bit. And then just to have a huge drop off and to have, one partner just not really care if they're still attractive and maybe not wear makeup or not do some of these things that they used to do. I think as a guy, I think you're like, well, fuck it, man. I'll just watch a lot of porn. Yeah. I don't want to cheat. I don't want to do this or that. And so this is my route. And now that's very hard to come back from. Like it would be a really difficult situation to come back from.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there. There's a serious amount there. Both people need to definitely continue to work on themselves, continue to try to be attracted to their partner, men and women. And there's no harm in saying that because that helps.
And I think, with women, while they may not be as attracted to porn, which I don't really know how true that is or not, but like it just seems like men have more of an issue with porn than females. But females might just have a different source of pornography, as was pointed out by Anna Limpke, who was reading a lot of like erotica stuff. And there's like romance novels and all kinds of things like that. And again, I don't think, I think we need to be mindful of all of our fantasies, no matter what they are. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to be a multimillionaire, you want to do, like, you just need to be mindful of it, because what happens when you don't get that? Are you dissatisfied all the time? Are you upset with yourself? Or can you kind of be congratulating yourself the whole time? Or could you be satisfied with a lot of the stuff that you're doing in the journey, in the process to get towards your ultimate goal or your fantasy or whatever that thing is that you're dreaming about? But if you are always kind of dreaming about being the best or being perfect, I've seen that like rot people away too. So you have to be very, you have to sort of, you hear it all the time, you got to live in the moment type of thing. But I just think we need to just be mindful of the fantasies that we are setting out. And I think that when it comes to pornography, the stimulus is just, it's too high. I mean, most people aren't going to be able to live a lifestyle that's like a Tony Huge, that's like some of the people that we know that have like open relationships and stuff. And even in talking to those people, those are not the relationships that you think they are. Those people face all the same. You're probably like, yeah, right. But in talking with Kyle Kingsbury and other people that have like, or have had open relationships.
Aubrey Marcus did, and then he stopped.
Yeah, and they're like, this, okay, yeah, it has some cool components to it, but in the end, it's very difficult. Just like being single is difficult, just like being married is difficult. Like all of it is always going to be difficult. Just be really mindful of your fantasies and of like the different input that you're taking in every day.
And on the podcast, it's, we talk a lot about nutrition and how, you can find anything you want at the supermarket. You don't even have to go there anymore. You can have food delivered to you. Highly palatable food is one of the big reasons why people overconsume, because they're able to get like these things that don't even make them full. They can just keep eating and eating and eating. And we try to talk about so many ways that you can control yourself, eat protein, eat fiber, do things that will allow you not to have to eat as much food so you can stay in good shape, have some self-control. That's physically. And there's so many other realms where self-control comes into play. Internet porn is like highly palatable food because it's at your fingertips. You can have as much of it as you want. And we know what the Coolidge effect does. A new video will get you aroused. You could do that over and over and over and over again. It has the same type of effect. And it would be wild to think that it doesn't change certain things as far as your brain chemistry is concerned, just like people can be food addicted. It changes their chemistry as far as food is concerned. The same thing can happen here. All we want is just to have some self-control over it. And if there are aspects like don't just because it's seen as normal, that doesn't necessarily mean it actually is. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of the things in high school. Everybody did it. So I was like, no, that's fine. It's normal. But you think about your grandfather, my grandfather, how many naked women did he probably see throughout his years? Probably less than 20 or 30. Bro, I've seen thousands. I've seen thousands of pussy. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking real life pussy, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's not normal, man. It's not normal.
I think we're just not nearly as grateful for stuff as we used to be either. Like, when it comes to like our food and stuff, you're mentioning like just having access to all this food. Imagine if we're in like a tribe and somebody killed a buffalo and we would have this like giant celebration. And it's like how different that is to, you know, have a fire and have some warmth and have like, you know, fur from the animal or whatever, keeping you warm, and you're consuming it. And there's like a big ritual that goes on. We don't really celebrate that shit as much as we used to. And I think when it comes to even something like sex, I just think that maybe we're just not, even in the moment, I think sometimes you're not like viewing it of like, holy fuck, this is really cool. This is like an awesome experience to have with somebody else, you know? Yeah. So I think all these things are kind of taken for granted, especially with how much we see all the time via social media and the internet.
Yeah. Guys, chime in the comments. Like talk to us about this. So, like, if you're open, talk to us about some of your experiences, whether you disagree with what I'm saying, whether you disagree with what we're saying here and you think it's not a big deal. I'm curious about your thoughts about it, because I can understand how I have a bias because of how it affected me and what I saw. So I get that I may have a bias there. But it might be different for some individuals who are older. Like, you had a very different experience, Andrew. I thought you were pointing at the mic.
Nope, just killing a spider.
Like, you had
we need a new studio.
Studio. You had your first sexual experience before watching porn, right? My first experience was with porn. You know what I mean?
Well, no, there was a VHS tape I remember at a cousin's house, but it was like, oh, dude, check this out. And it's like, I remember being like, oh my God, they actually do suck on the penis. Like, I thought they just said that in the movies. Yeah. Like, I just remember being like shocked, like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Super educational.
Super educational.
Yeah.
So chime in the comments and talk to us about this, guys, because like in that last video, a lot of you guys commented, and it was really interesting seeing all the different experiences that you men have had. You know,
and then if they're open to it, age too, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's no big deal, like, don't worry about it. And then other people are like, oh, it's ruined my life. It's like, I'm curious if there is like a certain like break off where like if you're over 35, it's like no big deal, dude. But then like, you know, obviously under it, maybe it was. And then another thing for you and Nsima, I wanted to ask, because one of the comments that we got was somebody just said, is watching porn and masturbating once a day considered addicted? And maybe if you can help some of the listeners, like, hey, like maybe this is a sign that you are addicted. Like, is there anything that you can help?
I'm not going to go out and tell somebody if they're addicted to something, because addiction's a big bad topic, right? But I would say this, you know, like Andrew Huberman in his podcast, he mentioned how porn can potentially lead to lower testosterone, right? And there are so many people in the comments saying like, actually viewing porn can increase your testosterone, blah, 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 and defending it. But think about what you generally feel after you watch porn and masturbate. Masturbating's healthy, right? Masturbating is healthy. I don't think porn is healthy, to be perfectly honest, but masturbation's a healthy thing. And if you find that you're doing that every day, watching porn and masturbating, after you typically bust or ejaculate, usually kind of tired, usually lethargic, usually like, I could take a nap, or I can eat some food right now.
Relaxed
and chill. And if you had some energy to do something else, do something physical, you know, do something that took some effort. Because usually after you watch some porn, you're not like, I'm going to go read a good book or I'm going to go take a good run. You're instead like, I'm going to chill now, maybe play some video games or some shit. At least that was me. Might not be the thing you want to do every single day. But I'm not telling you you're addicted. I'm just telling you to evaluate. Take your time and evaluate, what is it that I typically do after? What is it that I'm typically feeling like afterwards? Do I feel great about myself? Do you feel good about yourself after you do that every day? Or do you feel like, oh shit, I should have done something else? Just think about that for yourself. I know personally, I'm not coming at this from like a religious side of thing. I'm coming at it just from like what science shows about it. I didn't have the energy to do other things that I really wanted to do. I didn't have certain amounts of motivation to do other things I really wanted to do afterwards because I was legit tired. Prolactin increases. You want to chill. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So evaluate that for yourself and see how you feel.
I think that like sex wouldn't even be the same without porn, you know, because you've seen so much shit in porn, male and female. I've seen so many different things in porn that I think it's opened up like our sexual expression, and you wouldn't really know certain things. You wouldn't even know certain things could be done or done a certain way unless you've like seen them before. So it's a fascinating thing, but I think that sex would probably be more, like, a little bit more straightforward. Obviously, there's always still going to be people who get creative with it, but I think it would be a little bit more straightforward if it wasn't for porn, if you just never saw it in the first place. People asking about, you know, whether they're addicted or not to it. I think the main thing is addicted or not. You're just trying to think, is it something that has like a net negative in your life? Is it negatively impacting? Like for somebody listening to hip hop, it might not make them think that, it might not make them have certain thoughts about females because they're called a hoe or a bitch in a song. Like they might just think like that's just the lingo of it and it's just fun. And I think it just goes along with the words and goes along with the beat. So each person is going to have their kind of own interpretation of some of these things. But I think when it comes to, you know, it comes to words being said, I think it's easier to kind of shrug those off. When it comes to being stimulated with the amount of different videos and shit that you can watch, I think that it is probably a little too much. It's a little too much for us to handle, I think. It
is. You know that there have been Kama Sutra books for fucking centuries. Like, people have been loving sex forever. Now it's just, like you said, it might be a little too much.
Yeah, I think the thing that I never really paid attention to was the high speed internet access. Because like there were VHS tapes and there were magazines that you could, you know, hide under your bed mattress or whatever.
Yeah,
but
that's like 2 scenes though. The VHS tapes, like what, maybe 2 or 3 scenes? Good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But yeah, the fast internet, I hadn't really thought of that really because even like with the first iPhone, right? Like it was kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I don't remember if you could even get porn on that.
The first iPhone, I don't think you had a browser that could like play video at that speed. You didn't, but it was iPhone.
Just get that circle forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having to wait fucking ages just for one photo. Like, I didn't have fast internet for a long time. Like, we had dial up, but like, I remember I sat there and waited like an entire like lunchtime, just waiting for a picture of Trish Stratus to load up.
Trish Stratus?
Yeah.
Oh, wrestler.
Yeah, she's so hot. But it's been like, that was worth it.
I was like, I don't remember that.
Remember those things you used to like upload too, and they would be gigantic on your screen first, and then they would shrink down as it like,
dude, yeah, that. But also like
what the fuck's this guy looking at?
Yeah, but then it would also load like line.
Oh my god!
Line, and be like, I think we're getting to her boobs.
This is gonna be big.
It's like, of course it would stop loading right now. Damn it! But yeah. So yeah, I never considered like speed of internet actually being like one of the biggest pushers of it.
I had so much fun in high school. Be like, hey bro, let me see your phone real quick, man. I gotta look something up. My phone's not working. Going to the search shit. What's 8th Street Latinas, brother?
You're over like, what's this?
You know how to delete your history, bro?
And then I remember this is embarrassing, but like I remember legitimately not knowing that shit was scripted.
Oh,
meaning like somebody would come up to a chick at a gas station that she couldn't pay for her gas or whatever, or some shit like that, and then she would be like, "Well, I can, pay you in other ways or whatever." But it was like the reality TV style. It wasn't like
like Casting Couch.
I guess so, but like it wasn't. What I'm saying though, it wasn't like a camera was stationary and like here's like two actors
Shot like The Office.
Yeah, it was like, oh fuck, like this is real. And I remember being like, oh dude, that's fucked up. And then a buddy of mine being like you're stupid. Like, dude, she's a porn star. Like this is all a scene act.
Right.
And I'm like, oh.
Like, thanks for ruining my life.
Yeah, I'm like, now I can't get off.
Oh my God, man.
I thought this was a real possibility. That this is the way this woman's going to pay for her rent.
Yeah. I was just going to hang around and wait for somebody to not be able to pay for something.
Pause, but pause real quick. Let's analyze this real quick.
Oh God.
As funny as this is, y'all realize how problematic this is?
Oh, us joking about it?
No, not us joking about it. Because we can look at the comedy of it. But when you're a youngin', let's say you're a teenager or whatever, and let's say you see casting couch, you don't realize casting couch is fake. Like this young, impressionable woman is coming into an interview, and he's like, well, you know, if you want this job, you gotta suck my dick. You're like, oh yeah, let's go. But y'all realize that's not good? Like, that's kind of fucked up.
It's very fucked up.
It's horrible.
It's not good. Not good.
Hey, and then you have Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, right.
Like, that's the real life casting couch.
That's true.
Well, yeah.
Harvey Weinstein's the real life casting couch.
Oh my God.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get into power. I'm not going to have to worry about talking to chicks. I don't have to worry about being smooth. I'm just going to get into power and be like, if you want this job. Yeah.
It's so, like, that's the thing, man. Like, I mean, we can joke about it because we know we're not out here like, but like, people who aren't paying attention, like you can see how if you're not paying attention, how that can make you think certain things or think certain ways.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I mean, if you go to that Your Brain on Porn website, there's been a lot of research to show how porn kind of informs how men actually view women and potential like violence against women, etc. So again, it's funny, like we can joke about this shit, but there are real ramifications to these scenes and to the way they put these things forward, where it's just like, ooh, when you really think about it, that's not good.
It's nasty.
Hey.
In some ways.
But yeah, guys, come below. I think we, anything else? What else comes to mind?
No, I was going to look through some comments again. Just somebody just saying like, this is the dumbest thing ever.
Hey.
And I'm positive that that's an older viewer. But,
I remember my dad. I don't know why I don't know how we got in this conversation, but it's me and my brother, and I'm driving, and my dad's in the back seat. And my dad, you know, he's older, so he can't hear as well. So like when he talks, he's like kind of shouting, and he's yelling from the back seat. He's like, who in the hell doesn't know what a casting couch is? He's like, everybody knows what a casting. He's like, even I know what a casting couch is. He's like, I remember hearing about casting couches like in the 60s and 70s. He's like, that shit's been around forever.
Wait, really?
Me and my brother just dying laughing because we're like, kind of like, does he even know what a casting couch is?
Wait, did he know like?
We didn't ask him. I was gonna let it go. I don't know what he's talking about.
You gotta ask your dad. Like, Dad, when we were talking about casting couch, what did you mean? Like, I really want to know.
Yeah, he's like, this shit's been around forever. I don't know if you ever seen the show like Mad Men. You ever see that show?
Yeah, I saw Mad Men. That was a good show.
Yeah, it has a lot of that kind of stuff in it, and that's supposed to be in like the 70s or something like that. I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mad Men. Yeah, Mad Men. I think was like. I think I was like 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s was Mad Men. Great show. What was his name? John Hamm.
Yep.
Great actor in that. Yeah.
Who knows? The casting couch been around for a long time.
Man, casting couch could be some fucking ancient history. It could have had casting couch like hieroglyphs and shit.
Yeah. There is one more thing I wanted to bring up, and it was just a comment, and I've said something like this in the past too. But pornography is a good way to not have to seek women out for sex. Ooh. It saves a lot of women from being, well, this is a bit much, but it saves a lot of women from being used to keep men satisfied. If we were to get rid of porn in the world, we would have a lot more problems. And I had mentioned, like, again, like high school, early college days, like, yeah, if I did have porn, maybe I wouldn't have like focused only on chicks and like, put like certain things out of my life because I was trying to get chicks instead of pursuing like if what we've mentioned before, like leveling up. It was always like, no, let me just focus on this. But if I had porn, maybe I would have just been like, actually, I can focus on other things. But I don't know what your guys' take on something like that is.
When you have an easy out, because, okay, before what we have now, like people in 1900s, 1800s, people have always been seeking sex. Like I think Andrew Huberman mentioned it's one of the highest like levels of dopamine release that you get from sex, right? So people have always been seeking sex. So now we have something that is a super stimulus that instead of seeking sex, you can just watch some porn and have an easy out instead of learning how to control your horniness. Because like we're all going to get horny, but do you always have to respond to it by watching porn and jacking off? Right? You learn how to deal with that. You learn routines. You build habits so that sex isn't always the only thing on your mind. But now we have porn. So, when I get horny and I'm thinking about sex, let me just go beat my meat real quick to a video and come back and do what I need to do. Easy out. Just like, when I get hungry, let me just fucking grab a Snickers. Let me just grab something. Let me just get this easy out rather than learning how to control my habits and building habits that will allow me not to have to eat every single time I feel hungry. Well, maybe you don't have to beat your meat every time you get horny. Maybe you can learn to do other things or learn to shift your focus in a healthier way. It's an uncomfortable, well, it's not even uncomfortable. Well, yeah, it's somewhat uncomfortable if you have no way to outlet it, but just because it's somewhat uncomfortable doesn't mean that you can't learn to control yourself. It's an easy out, in my opinion. Not like if that's the thing you turn to all the time, it turns into an easy out.
I agree. I think you look at what food has, the progression of food, and the fact that we don't have to really seek it out. You just small like walk to your pantry or to your refrigerator or to your front door if you got like DoorDash or something like that. And it's just that's not the way that we're not really designed for that necessarily. And we are designed to be able to resolve conflict. We're designed to fight. We're designed to run. We're designed to jump. We're designed to do all these things. But we don't have to do, half of these things anymore.
I thought you were going to say, we're designed to fuck.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to go there.
Yeah, we're designed to do that too. But I mean, I think I think all animals are designed to do that pretty much. Mm-hmm. But with humans, we do, also pursue it for pleasure as well. But I just think that there's a part of human nature that it's set up a certain way for certain reasons, and when it comes to sex, I think that it's set up in a way that you're supposed to pursue it. You're only supposed to be able to have sex for X amount of years. Like these are all things that are but they're all things that are being like thrown off by today's society where we're trying to help people to live longer. There's pills and stuff that people can take. There's things that people can take to help them get pregnant. There's things that people can take to help them not get pregnant. There's things that people can take for an erection. There's like all kinds of stuff that you can take that otherwise, maybe some of these encounters, maybe it still wouldn't be on the table in the same way that it is now.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it's readily available and, kind of easy to get to via, some of the technology that we have today. And I just kind of wonder, if people don't start to develop skills, having coping mechanisms towards the things that we're addicted to here in the United States, what's that going to be like when Ready Player One type shit hits? Because we're already so addicted to pharmaceuticals, so addicted to drugs, alcohol, pornography. When things start to get a little bit more real via like virtual reality type stuff, I mean, that's going to be a huge hit on our society, I think.
Absolutely. It's going to be crazy when we get there, but watch that Black Mirror episode.
Just watch Black Mirror in general.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's really good.
The credit score, the social credit score, that shit's been going on in China. You remember that episode, Mark? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Couldn't get like a certain house because her fucking like ratio is not good enough. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Yeah.
It's real, man.
Take us on out of here, Andrew.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Please subscribe right here on YouTube if you are not already. And please drop us a rating and review on iTunes. We sincerely appreciate it. And please follow the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram, at MB Power Project on TikTok and Twitter. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. I've been talking a lot about Halo on Twitter. So if you guys are down with that, hit me up on Twitter. And at the Andrew Z on TikTok. And Nsima, where you at?
Guys, go in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about what we talked about here. If you agree or disagree, we want to talk to you guys about it because it's something that a lot of you guys have shown interest in. So check it out. And check out that video we did with Andrew Huberman and that podcast with Andrew and Anna Lemke. At Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube. At Nsima Inyang on TikTok and Twitter. Mark?
At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness never strength. Catch you guys later.